Welcome to Issues, and I'm your host, Richard Smith. This evening we're very excited to have a very, very special guest. At Christmas time, she was instrumental in helping Issues put on a special program for some families. We will be talking with Shayna Duncan. Welcome, Shayna. Could you tell us the position that you have with the Coalition for the Protection of Children, and exactly what do you do in that position?
I shall. Good evening, and thank you, Richard. I am currently the Director of Client Services for the Coalition for the Protection of Children, and so my role varies. I am the one that deals directly with the clients who come in, and they come in for a plethora of reasons with various issues, and it's to assess what the needs are and to see if we could help them, how we can support them, and if our agency can't, how we can best direct them to another agency that could assist them.
Okay. What kind of financial state or emotional state does a family have to be in to seek your assistance?
That too varies, because we do have families who will come in not for the fiscal support, but who will come in for legal support, who will come in for support that they may need even with dealing with their children. So that does vary, but particularly we tend to deal with families who are the most vulnerable in the community and for children who are at risk in some way or another.
Your client base, about how many clients would you say are associated with the coalition? CPC, how many?
Sure, yes, that is a abbreviation that we do use. I would say we average between 200 to 400 clients.
Wow, that is a lot. Now, and are there others there at CPC that assist you, or are you the main person?
No, we have a Director of Client Services, we have a fund director there, and then we have the founder who's a part of the organization, and then we do have a lot of volunteers who at times come in and help us.
Okay. Now, one of the things that you say you do, you assess the family. Sometimes through that assessment, do you ever find that the person or family may not qualify for your assistance?
I would not say that they would not qualify. I would say that because we don't have a limit per se that which we could help, but if a family is able to support themselves, that's not the family that we tend to help fiscally, but we will help them in other areas, because there are some families who just need some mediation with family members, so they don't need us fiscally, but they will need us emotionally or to just sustain their family relationships.
So it's not just the families who may be below we don't have a minimum wage, but it's not just a family who may be in need of food or money. From what I'm hearing you say, families who may need you emotionally. Would that mean families where there is some type of abuse also?
Correct. Okay. But for the most part, our client base are definitely families who are in need financially.
Okay. Let me read a quote from your webpage and just explain it to us. It says, healthy, nurturing, and safe families are vital to our children's future and ultimately to the well-being of the members of the community. How would you then define healthy, nurturing, and safe family? What does that look like?
Sure, I would say it looks like having an individual or a child who feels safe, who is loved, who has somewhere to stay, and that they're not in fear of being evicted, they're not in fear of being molested, they're not in fear of being physically assaulted on any level, just the normal freeness that a child would have to know that what they're experiencing today is worth waking up and smiling about tomorrow.
Okay. You mentioned molested. I just want to ask a question on that. In the news at times you hear about children who have been molested. Is that something that you see in terms of families coming to you? Or is that something that you don't see a lot of?
Oh, no, absolutely. We will see that.
As I even think about it now, it would seem to irritate me. It doesn't seem to. It does irritate me as why someone, an adult, would want to molest a child. In your experience, in terms of working with individuals like these, what effect does it have on a child, especially a young child, after being molested? And do you have any reasons why would a grown adult molest a child?
I personally can't speak why someone would do it. There is documentation to state what causes some of the effects. And what you find that most people who do molest children have been molested, have been abused themselves. And so you hear the saying often that hurting people hurt people.
Yeah.
And so that typically is what happened. And when there's unaddressed issues that they have not been able to deal with, they have not been able to express or get resolution to, there's this desire to be the predator instead of being the prey, and that's what typically happens.
Now, the CPC, your organization, they have a feeding program, a breakfast program. Could you share with us maybe how it started, how many schools, how many children are involved in this?
Sure. We've been in existence with our breakfast program nearly about 7-8 years now. We cater to the schools that are in the Central Zone, Paget Primary, Prospect Primary, Victor Scott, West Pembroke, and we are also at Delwood Middle School. So we provide breakfast Monday through Friday for all of the schools, and children can just go in. Now, when we initially started, it was for those children who did not have breakfast being provided for them at all. And we've also found that there are some social issues that need to be addressed with children just being able to relate to another child. And some children don't have tables to eat breakfast from, and so they don't understand
Shayna,
that
this is 2014. This is Bermuda, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And you're saying that some children in their homes, they don't even have tables to eat from?
Sure, you will find that. Yes, this is considered a wealthy country, and it is prevalent, but there is a population of people who don't have basic needs. Some is because they've made decisions and their priorities are not correct. Absolutely, I would say that would be the case with some. And then there are some that they live in a household that there's so many people in a household that every space available is for someone to sleep in.
Let me read something else that I got from your webpage. It says 3,600 individuals live at or below the poverty line, and of that, 30% are black children. In your the position that you have, is it mostly black families that you see?
At my job currently, there is a large population, I would say predominantly black, yes.
Now, some people looking at that, is it a racial issue? Is it an economical issue? Why do we have that? What would your guess be?
It's a systemic issue of colonization in Bermuda that people do not want to address. They are fearful of it, but it is the reality of what we see now. It didn't just start here. It is where we are. And so it is until we are willing to address some of the issues that have started long before we got to this place where you see a large population of people who are at poverty level. When you think economically, when you think socially, when you think fiscally, that they are not able to achieve some of the things that people of the European persuasion would be able to do, then you see the disparity. And when people are not able to provide for themselves, when people are not able to advance, you will have somebody who will work at a job and they would be there 20 years and they will never move beyond that position that they got when they initially got the job. And then you'll see a white counterpart who will start in the mailroom, and then they will advance to be manager and vice president. Is it because they're more intelligent? Absolutely not. Is it because that they learned more, they know more? They might know someone that has promoted them, but it's not always because they were not as advanced. It's not always because they didn't work as hard. That's not always it. That's what we hear, but that is not always the issue that's at hand.
Okay. You also use the term systemic. So let me ask you, families who come to CPC for your assistance, does that type of lifestyle, does it seem to perpetuate through generations and generations? That's
what I am seeing, we are seeing at our organization. And what happens when a person is unable to support themselves, when a person is unable to allow resilience, tenacity, and a will to move from where they are to where they need to be, and have the support base that will support them to do that. It sometimes is very difficult. And for those who have moved up from their bootstraps and they have moved from one position to the next, it is sometimes difficult for them to have empathy for someone who hasn't done that. But again, there are some issues that are underlined that we do not look at. And when we don't address issues that have been dormant for a long time, those are issues that can prevent someone from moving forward. And they might not share those with you, but they do exist. And that's difficult because you don't see that. Those are internal issues. Those are psychological issues that exist within. Those are broken wounds that nobody have addressed. And there are times that I will have clients who will say, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't do well in school. I was not smart. And it's not that they're not smart. It was that they weren't told that they were smart. Or someone has told them that they were dumb. And it's not that they were dumb. They just elected to believe that they were dumb. Because those who graduate from college and university are not always the brightest. It is those who are determined to complete through their program.
In terms of children from the families that you service, are many of these children, their behavior and their attitude, what is that like?
On some days I would say it is depressing, oppressive, and suppressive. And then on other days I would say that it is exciting and it is marvelous, because there are some wonderful young people out here in this community. They have not been ignited to believe that they are wonderful, that they are brilliant, and that they can achieve. And it is difficult because it takes a village to raise a child, and we tend to concentrate on the negative as opposed to the positive. And when you're seeing that from every aspect of society, it is difficult to be fortified and moving ahead in what is positive.
So, as you were explaining that, sometimes your job and the others there at CPC, does it seem sometimes that maybe you're beating your head against a rock because you're seeing little progress? Does it ever get that way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But I am of the belief that there is something within all of us that no matter where we are today, we don't have to stay there if that's not where we want to be.
Share with us one of the success stories that may come to your mind.
Oh, absolutely. I have a success story. I have a young lady who came into my office one day, and it looked as if she just woke up, got out of her bed, and came to see me. And she was in need of some support. She was going off to university, and all she had was a desire. And I had asked if she was going to the bank, if that was the way that she would go in to an interview for a scholarship. And she said no. And I told her, well, you go home, you come and see me tomorrow at 10 o'clock as if you're coming to the bank and you're guaranteed your scholarship. And when she walked in, I had no idea that it was the same person. Wow. So it is the belief that you can do it, and somebody has said to you that you are worthy of this. It's that innate desire that we all have to be valued and that we do matter on this earth. And she is over in the UK right now, and she is in school, and she is a single mother, and she did take her child, and she is doing well.
Very good.
So I do have success stories. It's not all doom. I do not believe that. I do believe that there are a lot of people. Do we need a lot of support, and do they need a lot of help?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've been talking with Shayna Duncan, and we will be right back to meet a lovely young lady and her daughter. Welcome back. And the second part of our show is really going to be exciting. If you thought the first part was filled with information, you will be excited about the second half of our program. we're going to ask Shayna to introduce these lovely people to us and tell us her association with them.
In the audience, we have with us tonight Derica Young and her daughter Candace Young. And Derica is a client of ours at the Coalition for the Protection of Children, and Candace is a beautiful little girl who has been a part of our breakfast program.
Very good. Now, I recently found out that Candace has an illness. Could you tell us what that is all about, please?
Candace was pretty much born normal. She was diagnosed with a serious heart condition from birth. It was never detected in my pregnancy. I carried out her 9 months normal. She was born June 30th of 2004, and she was born blue. Her diagnosis is congenital heart disease, which also has a name as heteropaxy syndrome. Basically, what it is that her heart is so, how can I say it? Not confused, but it's kind of all over the place. She has valves in places that's not where it's not supposed to be. She has some valves that are working. She has some valves that are not working. And right now, her lifeline is dependent on her right side. She got her first operation when she was a day old. And they tell me that they did see more that was wrong with her, but they couldn't determine it at that time because she was still too young, and they told me to bring her back when she was a little bit older. As she got older and we took her back about 9 months, they told me she has something else called pulmonary vein stenosis. What that is, your pulmonary veins pump oxygen and blood to your lungs. Without that, you can't survive. It's just fortunate that right now her lifeline is her right side. She has no functioning on her left side due to her pulmonary veins closing, so everything is connected to the right side.
Just let me ask a question. As you talk, how much of this Candace know? Does she know?
She knows. Basically, I think with mentally she doesn't fully understand, but physically I think she does understand. She can pin out, that she had surgery. She can show you where the surgery was. She can tell you things that they do when she goes away and stuff like that. But I think the mental part of it she doesn't really grasp that with it right now.
Let me ask you, Candace, when you go away to the hospital, what do they do?
They give me needles, and they put like blood stuff in, and
Does it
give
make
me a X-ray, and that's what
Does it make you afraid when you go away to the doctors?
a little.
A little. When you are at school and you play with your friends, do you get tired more than your friends get tired, or can you play as much as your friends play?
I'll say both.
Both. Okay. And what school do you go to, Candace?
Paget Primary.
And what year are you at Padgett Primary?
I am in P4.
And what's your teacher's name?
I am in P4 Trot.
For Trot. And the principal at Padgett Primary, what is the principal's name?
The principal is Coraya, and the substitute principal is named Miss Haley.
Okay, thank you. Now, is Candace going to be going away again anytime soon?
Yes, our original date was supposed to be next week Tuesday, but it got pushed back to February. We'll have to be out there for the 13th of, actually not February, the 13th of March.
And what will be happening to Candace when you take her this
When
time?
she goes up, she has a consultation with the doctor on the 13th, and following that, she has 2 procedures that she has to get done that will give them a better idea of what they want to do. And from that data that they gather, they will also make the decision if she is still a candidate for surgery.
Now, what type of surgery will she be having this time? If she is a candidate.
If she is still a candidate for it, it is a big, big operation where it's going to be a lot of putting things into the right places, and the end result is that she may end up with a pacemaker.
Now, as a mom, what are some of the thoughts and feelings going through you as you think about that?
Well, Candace has been like this since birth, so it's not like I just woke up this morning and it's something that just happened. I have my days, and I just try to be strong for her because I know that it's not her fault that she's like that, and it's a lot of energy.
Candace, do you have any other brothers or sisters?
Yes.
Okay. Do they know the type of sickness that you have?
Well,
Okay. Tell us the name of.
say I don't know.
Okay. Tell us the name of your brothers and sisters.
One is named Kyra, that's the eldest.
Okay.
One is named Aquarium, that's the youngest.
What was that name?
Aquarium, that's the youngest. And one is named Kaiji, that's the
Second youngest.
second youngest. And well, I'm like
Are you the youngest?
first.
No, you're not the first. You are the third.
You are the
Third
third.
youngest.
Okay.
And I am like Kitori, which is the eldest of the boys.
Okay. Now,
And Kevon.
And
Which is
Kivon.
the
Oh
youngest
my
of the
goodness, you
boys.
can't forget Kivon. Now, I do understand that insurance will pay much, but I was understanding too that her father is pretty much involved.
Yes. For the most part, he covers the insurance part. Yes.
Very good. Not many fathers who aren't in the home are as supportive as I hear you say her father is, so he deserves to be commended. Very good. Now, Shayna, is this family an exceptional family? Not just of the illness, but in terms of the overall service that you provide for them, or is this a typical family that you would have?
I would say mildly typical. Darika doesn't come into us often. She doesn't need our direct support on a consistent basis. It is just when she's, I wouldn't even say a crisis, I would say just an intermediate support for her. And so we don't support her fiscally on a consistent basis. It's just when something comes up that she's not able to meet a need that she'll come in for our support. Yes.
What brought you to CPC in the first place?
I was directed through them from family services and also from the CMIT program. So it was something that they had brought to my attention as far as if I needed that extra support or someone to talk to.
And you found that support and that help from the Coalition for the Protection of Children.
Yes.
Very good. Now, Shayna, as you look at the future in terms of young families in Bermuda, do you see things improving through your intervention, meaning CPC and other charities' intervention? How does the future look for young families? We did a program some time ago, and we had a gentleman there who was paralyzed because of drugs, and he went through his childhood, how this childhood led him to drugs and so forth. So as somebody who deals with families almost on a daily basis, what does the future look like?
The future looks like what we make it to be. So I don't think we're in a position to blame them against us. It is how can we collectively as a community come together, help each other, empower each other, and hold each other accountable. What I do see at times is that because someone is of a socioeconomic background, there will be statements made about them without getting to know them, understanding their stories, and help them as a support base. Their support is not just physical or fiscal. Support is just being able to understand, provide empathy, and then give someone the support that they need. Sometimes they don't know how they can succeed themselves, and to see that the value that they have within them to do whatever it is that they desire to do so they can become self-sufficient. So I see the future as being what we as a community make it to be. If it becomes doom and gloom, that's because the community members have not made a difference for the sun to shine. If it becomes a sunshine community, it means that we've worked together collectively to help each other as humanity.
I hear you talking about sounds like you're saying it takes a village.
Oh, yes.
Now, Derica, what are some successes that you have seen in your life with your families?
Well, I have a lot of support from my family, especially my mother. She's been there since day one with helping with Candace. Also, my grandmother, she's been there also day one with Candace. She was actually the one that actually came away with me when Candace was first born. Also, I have some two aunties that we have a fund that we do for Candace, and they're the aunties that actually run it.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the fund actually started, I think, basically when I was working at Marketplace. I actually put on a bake sale for my daughter, which was the first one, and it did very well. My granny did baking, my aunties did baking, I did some baking myself. I had a few of the people in the community do some baking for her, and it turned out really well. I've also had probably like 2 more bake sales within that I'm done basically on my own, and we have succeeded also. Also, I've been in the newspaper, and we got a good response back. People were making donations to Candace also. But my most support would be my immediate family, which would be my mother, my grandmother, and my aunties.
Okay. And she's bearing out what you said in terms of support. And it's not just fiscal, it's not just money, it's that emotional and that caring support. Candace, when you go away, do you ever have time to go shopping to the toy store? Do you ever have time to do that, or is it just to the hospital and then back to Bermuda?
Well, the first time when I went in Aiden, I was like 8.
How old are you now?
9.
Okay.
When I was 8, I went shopping. First I got my checkup, then I went shopping, then we went back to the hotel, then we went back to get my checkup, and then I fly like a day, a week I think. A week ago, then we went back to Bermuda.
Very good. Very good. And you will be going back next month. Well, we've been talking with Shayna Duncan from the Coalition for the Protection of Children, and Derica Young and Candace. And we have been listening to a very interesting story. Candace will be going away to the doctors. And in terms of raising families, we've heard how very important that support, not just fiscal is important, but that emotional support that individuals get from their family, that pat on the back, that encouragement to make life look like it's worth living. I'd like to leave something with you. To the world, you may not seem important, but to someone, you are very important. This is Richard Smith, and we will see you in Issues next week.